I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Natural Resource Board, regular meeting Tuesday, March 3rd, 2020. If we could, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jeanette, can we have roll call?
Yes. Ms. Ware?
Present.
Ms. Brothers?
Here.
Mr. Stadelman?
Here.
Mr. O'Neill?
Here.
Mr. Carano?
Present.
Ms. Lovell is not present.
Thank you, Ms. Janet. We still have a quorum though, so we can continue regular business. While we're sitting here, I'd like to do a little housekeeping with Ms. Frazier before we close the meeting to have a workshop for the Open Conservation and Coastal Management Comprehensive Plan. And Ms. Frazier would like a few minutes of our time.
Thank you very much. I appreciate everyone being here in attendance. I know you all desired to have a look-see at the coastal and conservation element prior to then getting presented to planning and zoning and then getting presented to city council. So you have many times to be looking at it and providing your input. I don't want you to believe that tonight is the only night and that's it. One of the ways that we typically as planners work through this so that we can really stay focused on what we need to accomplish and accomplish it in a good format. Thank you, our audience. We wanted to do kind of a individual small groups. There are two goals, right, that you are looking at this on this element. The two goals, if you look at the agenda page, are your protection and conservation of natural resources and then your coastal management and resiliency. Remember, we are combining this element. Prior to this, in 1999, it was separate. Now we are combining it. So this table here will be addressing the objectives for the Goal 2, Coastal Management and Resiliency, and that table will be addressing the objectives for Goal 1. All righty? What we're asking is the audience also attend these tables. Don't leave me alone here at the Coastal Resiliency, okay? So, what we're gonna do is that when we start that, the camera will still be on, but the audio will be turned off for the TV listeners, correct? So then this gives your small group the opportunity to discuss and discourse. We'll be taking notes as best we can. Once that half hour, we're gonna try to give it a good half an hour. If we need more, we can do more, but I'm thinking about a half an hour. Then the facilitator for each table will then record the discussion, if you will, the summary of the discussion, mainly pertaining to these three questions that you have. That's kind of the assignment of the workshop. And then at that point, it's all been recorded so we can meet our public records. Of course, the audio will be turned back on for the TV listeners, and then the workshop will be completed. But remember, we want to stay with the goals and objectives at this point, making sure that we are on target for those items. And of course, tonight or in the future, if you feel that some of the policies are lacking or some of the teeth or whatever you'd like, please let us know. But policies are more the implementation part of your comp plan. And that's something that staff can do. Once you tell us what your goals and objectives are, we can make that happen. Because remember, goals, objectives, policies, and then the land development code is the regulations, right? So that's kind of the stepping stone. Any questions at this point?
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
I'd like to close the regular meeting of the Natural Resource Board and open the meeting for the Coastal Management Comprehensive Plan Elements Workshop.
so she will jump in and talk to you about floodplains whenever I get it wrong. Am I on? Yes. Is audio on? Okay, that's not saying audio's on. All right, thank you, everyone. I'm really excited. I think we did a great job. I know my table did. Yay, table 2. Whoop, whoop. So as we went through objectives, there were several changes, I think, or at least items that we wanted to make sure were included in these objectives as policies or to be explored. A lot of that was a buyout program for some of our coastal high hazard areas and or floodplains, along with a transfer of development rights program for those same areas, so that those that would like to consider developing in a floodplain or a coastal high hazard area would have the opportunity to transfer some of their development rights to a less sensitive zone. We wanted to restrict the development and or location of certain mobile homes and manufactured home parks, which are or as structurally as most residents. We wanted to rename the one objective for hurricane evacuations and actually rename it to be more natural resource disasters, and incorporate a few more policies in there, not just for hurricanes, but for storm surges and major storms, as well as possibly, excuse me? Algal blooms, fires. Just to try to reference, we'll address them and then reference certain manuals or materials that are in existence, like the EOC's disaster management manuals, okay? We also wanted to make sure the shelter schools were based on the evacuation map, and we all talked about making sure that we have maps. I think this is probably going to correspond with this group's as far as our green infrastructure, our natural areas, our floodplains, making sure that we have an encompassing map, if you will, that can lead us toward these opportunities. I think I might have gotten everything right. As far as, of course, the natural resource of value in this group under coastal management and resiliency is our coastal shoreline and floodplains. And I've already kind of gone over what our ideas were to protect those resources. And the largest obstacle is property rights and funding, which is a little facetious, but very true. So I think as staff, our challenge is to try to identify ways to protect these resources and protect the citizens of Sebastian during natural disasters without having to break the bank or take away anybody's rights. And there are ways of doing that as far as, land uses and different planning. Am I good, group? Can I pass it? Thank you.
All right, well, as far as which natural resource we value the most based on the topics, I think we've definitely pointed out wetlands preservation and a need for more development restrictions in relation to wetlands. And I know that is mainly governed by St. John's, but what can we do? How much can we build on those regulations? And then also that was the as far as vegetation buffers requirement, and then there was a lot of discussion about density of development and percent conservation land, and could we raise the percent that's conserved when we increase the density of development? Let's see what else.
Things that we talked about. So the other things that we talked about were a better delineation of what a wetland is. It seems to be taken out from a previous right of the comp plan. We wanted to kind of try to add that in. We wanted a better definition for, or some goals related to the eradication of invasive species. Also, as a part of a policy, greater restrictions for development of in areas that will damage conservation efforts, management of wildlife, and policies and objectives have been removed regarding things such as groundwater recharge areas that we wanted to try to address. And we also talked about types of aeration systems and things for septic systems that are existing out there, to try to approach some new ways to maybe bring those guys into compliance or better compliance. I don't really know if there's any room there for that, since they're generally developed already. And we also talked about what else I have? That's all I had.
We both wrote different set of notes. How can we promote native vegetation and discourage the invasive vegetation? Encourage areas that are not developed on properties, because the clear cutting, how much ability do we have to control that clear cutting of areas? So I guess the biggest obstacle to conserving or protecting the wetlands and water quality would be development and policies, and how we can reshape those.
And ironically, the biggest obstacle is also policies. So.
Preemption by the state.
Yeah. No.
I mean, yeah, it's a national wetlands inventory. It's pretty accurate. I find a few spotted ones on quarter-acre lots here and there, but for the most part, it's accurate. For the most part, the national wetlands inventory online is very accurate. Another question, sorry, we had there was there were a lot of sections taken out concerning the lagoon, estuary, and the species and habitat protection there, and I couldn't see by the topics listed here that it had been moved to your section, so can you, sorry.
No, that's okay. We're trying to do public records, meeting that kind of policy at the same time that we're having an open discussion. So, and we only have one mic. I also noted that some sections had been X'd out. They may turn up in another element, and that's okay. But I think that the pen was a little too widely used, if you will, and I already have in my markup copy of things that I want brought back. And so what I encourage the NRB to do is to do the same, if you would, please. This isn't, I want to get this. This will go to P&Z May, I think. Is that when it goes to P&Z? So we have a little time. But please look at it closely, what's been marked out, what's been suggested, and give your viewpoints. It doesn't have to be anything any more formal than bring this back in and highlight it, or crossed out with a red ink and then just given to us. I mean, really, we're looking for that kind of feedback, because this is your plan, right? And if well, that's your plan. No, that's his plan. No, wait a minute. Well, I really appreciate everybody's involvement in this. And again, it's not the last time. If you now that you're kind of vested in it and gotten an education kind of in what we're looking for, we look for your input, and we look forward to it. And as I shared before, for those of you who are here for the livability, under the Smart Growth 10 Smart Growth items, principles, guess what number 1 was? Protect the environment. And I think that, if you look at our comp plan and heck, the city itself, that's not a mystery. That is very important here in this community. So thank you very much for all of your efforts this evening. Are you back to your space? Thank you, our public.
I think that was a great format. It's very helpful.
I'd like to call to order and end the workshop for Open Conservation and Coastal Management Comprehensive Plan Elements Workshop. That is closed. I'd like to thank Mayor Dodd and the City Council for helping direct everybody and include us in this comprehensive management plan. We are here at the direction of the City Council and of Mayor Dodd. I'd like to thank Ms. Hagler, Ms. Michelle, Janet, and Ms. Frazier for doing such a great job, and your service to Sebastian is well appreciated. I'd like to get a motion for approval of the minutes for February 4th, 2020 meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion to approve is passed. Item 7, announcements. Item A, board member positions available. If anybody knows anybody, please.
We have one alternate position available. I also have another a quick announcement that on March 31st, the last day of the month, we will be having working with Keeping River Beautiful and Publix, and we'll have a huge volunteer event down at Riverview Park, so I'll be notifying you if you'd like to come and join in at any point. We'll be doing restoration of the vegetation along the kayak launch across from the park, and then we'll be doing a rain garden installation and a coastal cleanup. There'll be about 120 to 150 volunteers from Publix. On the 31st, March 31st. But I'll be sending out some information to the board on it as it gets closer.
Thank you for that, Ms. Hagler. Any end of announcements? Move on to item 8. Any public input? Public input is over. That was a great meeting, by the way, guys. I mean, just fantastic. We'll go on to new business, item 9. I would take our new business is going to be the Pelican Island Wildlife Festival on Saturday. That's coming up. are we prepared for that? Do we need any tables, chairs?
Yeah, we'll have a table and one pop-up will be set up by the city. The stormwater department usually helps us get that in place. Our booth is always next to the stormwater, and we're right across from the event booth.
We didn't do it last year, but we did it the year before, and remember it was mostly a meet and greet, let everybody know what we're up to. This year here, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to try to do a cold roll of Sustainable Sebastian, and you know, get our name out there with everything that's going on, take our lumps, introduce the city of Sebastian to this initiative that we're trying to roll out, try to get as much input. One of the things I did notice when these take place, it's a time to introduce yourself to these other governmental agencies that you just hear about. They usually send their number one guys out to this because everybody likes coming here. That's all I hear about. It's such a nice venue. So you're able to talk to these other, whether they're city managers or planners or whatever they're doing, but it's going to be people from all over the state that are going to be here. So use it as a networking opportunity. Get our name out there for Sebastian and see what we can do to help the Pelican Island cause altogether. Any other new business that we need to take care of?
Who will be able to attend?
Oh, I'll be going. I can go, for sure.
Anyone else this Saturday?
I can do a couple hours.
Yeah, you don't have to commit to the whole day.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I can do like noon to 2.
Okay.
I believe it's from 10 till 4. When is it? 10 till 3?
10 to
10
4.
till 4? I think so.
And I'll be there, but I'll be at the stormwater booth too, so.
One thing I would like to bring up for new business, one of the things that, if you notice, I like to go, one of the things I noticed with any relationship is open communication. And I believe that open and timely communication is essential. Our board is developed into what we are. Natural Resource Board used to do nothing but really Earth Day festival planning. We're really involved in what's going on in the city now at the base level. I would like permission to be able to go in front of the city council as the chairperson and speak about what we spoke about here. I can't do it, that's why I didn't do it last month, but I've done it before, but I need your guys, I don't need permission to go in front of them? I thought I had to get permission as a board member to go in front of the city council from you guys, because I want the city council to know that we're what we're doing here, and unless somebody goes and talks to them, I don't know if they really get it.
Mr. Chairman, are you suggesting that you want to go in front of the city council and talk to them about the workshop this evening?
Just about every meeting that we have, I would like to go in front of the city council and start that as a precedent. I think we've been a natural resource board for over 10 years, and I bet you I can count on one hand how many times somebody from this board has actually spoken in front of the city council, just to say, this is what we're working on, this is what we're doing, do you have any input at that level, just to keep those lines of communications open. And I wanted to get the feel of what this board thought about that before I just went ahead and did it or not.
I believe boards do, I want to say, I don't know what the time frame is, but if you're talking about like a quarterly update or a biannual update to the city council, I mean, I believe that is something that we may be doing already, and not that I see it, because I'm at every
I've never
city
seen
council
it.
meeting.
I
but
addressed the city council at the last meeting, so.
Yeah, well, there's an issue with that, though. We have to pay attention when we're speaking as board members with other board members. We almost have to be put on the agenda, and that's really what they would rather have us do if we're going to go in front of the board member instead of as we usually go and talk and
Public comment.
public comment.
Right.
But it's different when you're. I'm going to ask to be put on the agenda. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to take 5 minutes of their time and really get in front of everybody just to keep those lines of communication current, open, and just to start that precedent. and I'd like to see the other boards actually do it too. But I wanted to get the opinion of the board, because I work on consensus. I'll do stuff on my own, but I would prefer this to be on consensus.
I don't think I'm not sure. I don't think on a regular basis that's necessary. I mean, we're meeting once a month. I'm not sure what we would really go back to tell the city council next week, whenever it is they meet. But, you know, a semi-annual update, I think is certainly appropriate. And when we've got a little bit more to report, my concern, particularly with the current city council, is that if we are, and of course, they're all welcome to come anytime, and our meetings are open, our minutes are open, but I'm afraid we're going to get too sidetracked on some of the projects that we're working on, like integrated pest management. I'd rather keep those lanes focused on getting that done and not have to go scurrying in many other directions in response.
So you're okay with me talking to them, though, maybe not on a monthly basis, but on a semi-annual
I think
basis?
semi-annual would be appropriate. I just don't want to get where we're getting too sidetracked.
Well, I'm not gonna, and won't be personal opinion things either, because you guys know I do have personal opinions about things. It's gonna be strictly board issues, but I have to get on the agenda.
Right.
And I need consensus from the board. If you're okay with once a month, then it would be whenever that it really needs to be done, because sometimes we have issues. We need to bring it to these people.
Then, rather than a broad, you may speak at any time, how about we approach it by the issues? Say, if you want to go on the next agenda to let them know about Earth Day, what we have planned, and invite them all personally.
Perfect.
Then you would ask permission. They would say, yeah, that's great. You can talk to them tell them about Earth Day. We'll approach it each meeting by the topic that you want to approach. I'm just throwing it out.
What I'd like to do
I think
then.
that's a good idea, too.
Can I get everybody else's opinion as well? Do you guys got any opinions on that?
Yeah, I think that, again, with the current council, that if we go in front of them on things that are important to us, but maybe they have different ideas, especially certain members of the council, we're going to get into this big tug of war. And
That's exactly why I want to go in front of the council, is because of exactly what you said. I think opposites attract. And I think that the council right now is building a team. I think a team is built after that argument, after all the fighting. You build the best team once everybody figures out who they are. But I want them to know that we're in this game with them. We're an advisory board to them, and this is what we can do for you, and we're here to help. And that's really what my goal is.
I'm really a lot more comfortable with us presenting this in writing to them,
Yes.
you know, than presenting it, you know, just getting up and expounding, you know, verbosely.
So you'd be okay with putting something in writing to them?
Yes.
Tom?
Yeah, I think putting in writing is much better way to do it, especially with the activities that are going on with with city council.
It sounds like everybody has a, and I see the shaking of the heads, that the city council is our biggest concern and what's going on there.
Yeah, they very much are watching what the Natural Resource Board is doing, and they're very much in support of everything we're doing. Obviously,
They're very, very supportive of us, and I'm trying to keep that communication line open. I like putting it in writing, actually, and I think that's a great idea, and that's why I brought this to the board, to find out exactly what I have to do to keep that communication open, to keep and it's to set precedent for when we're gone. Because again, this is all relatively new. I don't think the city council's ever brought comp plan, ever brought pest management. We've been asking for this for a year now. We're really working towards it. And I want them to know that we're appreciative of the fact we're here to help advise in our roles. And what do you think, Justin?
I think the cadence needs to be appropriate.
I'm sorry?
The cadence, so your frequency of communication needs to be appropriate and tied to possibly like an issue or an ask, or have an opportunity to do that, to not over, inundate them. So just imperative kind of updates or issues that you want to specifically request something for one of our initiatives.
Because I don't think we're allowed to. I don't think I can engage with them without the board or something like that. Now, what this really refers to is the questions that came up with the Sunshine State Law, and there was questions about councilmen coming in front of our board once. So I'm trying to stay above board and to keep input and consensus. So I think what I'm hearing is timely communication, written communication in a timely manner. Would that be acceptable?
Yes.
And then would you consider timely to be just within, after our meetings? Because it's just going to be written. It's going to be a short synopsis of what we've done. Or
They get our minutes, I mean.
I want to make sure that everybody is on board, because we have a strange city council and everybody here is on it. I want to make sure everybody's on the same page, and I want to make sure that we're advising underneath their guidance as well, that we're also getting input, because obviously nobody's here right now.
We are.
And I'm not hearing from them either.
We're going to be giving our input in terms of everything we've done. The Sustainable Sebastian is a good example of our input. If you want to send a memo to them, just, I'm okay with that, but I think it's redundant.
I do too, but I don't want to pile on because we're going to turn everything in by October. And what I really don't want is come June or July, we start sending all of this information, because right now I got quite a stack here. Does the people that we're doing this for have this same stack? I want to make sure of that. I want to make sure we're all on the same page. I want to be considerate of our time. I want to make sure that we're effective, and that I want them to know that we're in this for the long haul, and we're gonna make sure we do what we have to do. And I want to just keep the lines of communication open. I'm just trying to get effect from you guys.
That's kind of my role, is I keep the communication, and I make sure they know what initiatives we have going. I think it's a great idea if you want to approach them and invite them to Earth Day and let them know the details of the event. I think that's a great idea. I just want you to know that anything we have going on, the city council does know and supports.
That's what I'm talking about.
At all times.
I'm just not sure why we need to do it on some monthly or periodic basis. If we need to once we have, Earth Day is a concrete thing, certain time, here's what, we'd like for you to show up, that's one thing. Just, that we talked tonight about.
Because that was a lot what we talked about tonight.
We talked about a whole lot.
That was intense, wasn't it?
But I don't think.
Our job is to
Is to
distill it
advise them.
down and
Is to
make it into
distill it
the
down.
least amount of information and most effectively as
Right.
possible. It's not to just get up here
And then
talk.
disseminate that information.
But I
That's
don't-
what
I mean, I
that's
don't
what I
think
want to know.
We're at a point.
I mean, are you
to do
guys?
that.
These notes aren't going to just be filed.
Right.
We are all writing notes because these are things that we're going to incorporate into changes that are made in this plan, and that's how you'll see it reflected.
I just found that with any good relationship, communication is a priority, and I just want to see what our board felt about that, and to see how I can affect that. That was what I was bringing that up for. And if we want to just keep it the way it is and just move on forward with that, I'm okay with that as well.
I'm fine with it the way it is. Others' opinion?
I'm fine with it the way it is too.
Okay. I'm good with that as well. I just want, I've sent out some other emails, and I've been in front of the board, and I've had people that have come to me and said I have to I'll be on the agenda if I want to talk to the city council in that manner. So I wanted to get your feedback on everything. And also you witnessed what happened with the Sunshine State law and everything. So I'm trying to stay above board and make sure that everybody's on the books. Okay, go on to the next thing. That's the new business. Item 10, old business. Hey, let's talk about Earth Day. Are we ready with vendors?
So I have this broken down by sections, and we'll just kind of go through the sections, and there's a few areas I need people to step up into. So we'll start with the retail and food vendors. They've received their applications, and they've been arriving. We have Ron, he's support staff for leisure services and community development, and he is doing a great job. He's taken over the communication on that, mainly because with the IPM subcommittee, we have 3 of our valuable members pulled out of this planning process right now. So to offset that, he's handling the vendor communications, but he's doing a fantastic job, and so we're really grateful to have him on board. With waste management, I have a meeting this Friday to finalize the Shred It and event, and I left the flyers at each of your seats. Donna, can you give an update on the art club and what they'll be doing?
Yes, we have several people that are just going to be on the face painting station, and then we're going to have 6 booths that we will be entering. We're doing a lagoon show, so all the art that's going to be on display will be lagoon related, and it's a judge show, so there'll be ribbons, and all the art will be for sale, and 20% of sales will go back to a lagoon-related 501c3. Right now, I think we're leaning toward Friends of Sebastian River. So we're getting a lot of excitement about it.
Great. I think it's a great partnership for the event. Definitely. We also have Keeping River Beautiful. They'll be doing the cleanup, coastal cleanup along the area as well. We have last year, Charles, you handled the state food vendor permits. Is that correct?
The food vendor permit, yeah, that was basically a phone call to the state.
And what information did you have to provide them?
They just said, thank you for calling. It was it. Thank you for letting me know. It was it.
No license numbers or anything?
No, I
Just
didn't have to give them anything. They just said, thank you
Okay.
for calling. I thought they were going to show up.
Okay. Then, let's see. Charles, you're going to be the MOC, Master of Ceremonies, again. You did a great job with that last year.
Thank you.
I think we have Brian on the entertainment. We have,
Yes, all the bands are signed, and the Chaos Sound is ready to go. We only have one paid group this year. It's Robert Johnson and it's Cold Dusters. And I'll send you his information tomorrow. I'll send you his information tomorrow. That's it for the entertainment. So we're all set, good to go.
we were, I gave you all 5 copies of the flyers to post around town. I also sent you the PNG form of it, which can post easily into social media, into an email, to help get it out. If you certain page you follow, please post it. And let them know that we're still taking applications for vendors. Any other updates along that? Who was on the activities? I think that was... All right, so what we've done is we've put into the applications to the organizations, asking them to sponsor an activity. This worked well last year. We got a couple extra activities that way, rather than us planning all of them. So by next month, we'll have a better idea what activities we'll have. We'll have the Be a Go for Tourists. The person who developed that actually contacted Kathy, and I think she would be interested in running it this year, which would be really helpful. We had the Boys and Girls Club reach out for volunteers. Ruth is the volunteers, and she's handling that from afar. And she'll be back next month from Australia. Then I need someone to volunteer to distribute flyers to the schools in a few weeks.
I can volunteer
I get the
for that.
permission, I get
still
the
have kids in
flyers. You just
school.
come and cut them, and then you deliver them to the schools.
That'd be
And I get
great.
your permission slip already for you.
That's
Like
fine
how
with me.
many schools? How many?
Oh, it's just the schools in Sebastian. No. I think they automatically post it to that, but they, it's like 2 of the preschools and 2 elementary schools. Huge.
I'll do that.
Okay. All right.
So you're talking like a week before or 2 weeks before? How?
Yeah, it'll be like 3 weeks before.
3 weeks, okay.
Basically, I make our flyer into a black and white version. I send it to the school. they have to send me back an approval before it can be posted anywhere, whether it's on their websites. The middle schools post it to their websites, but some of the private schools and preschools, we bring the flyers to them. Any other questions?
Food vendors? Are we good with food vendors?
We have a few come in. I haven't been able to check it. Like I said, Ron's on that right now, and I haven't checked it lately, but we had confirmation from Kettle Corn and Kona already, and I know that 2 others had asked for application, and I don't know.
Did we ever get our water tower issue handled? Remember we were trying to do something with the water?
Right,
It's a retrofit for the water fountain for bottle refill. And I just asked about the status of that, and I do not know where it stands as far as budgeting. But I know that they already got quotes, and we're looking at the options and the longevity of different options. So that is Leisure Services, so I'll have a better idea soon. But I did find a local company. It's out of South Florida. They do canned water. And it tastes great. Actually, it doesn't taste like a can at all. It's fantastic. So I contacted them because they're down south, and it was expensive shipping and handling on it. And they said that one of their major investors owns a lot of property in Vero Beach, and they're actually going to start canning it here in Vero Beach. So hopefully we can get a hold of some of these. It'd be a great fundraiser for one of the organizations for Earth Day, for sure.
Anything else?
That's all I have on it.
Anything else from anybody? Do we need to determine any next steps?
That's
it?
where we're
Okay.
pulling, the tasks I needed handled there.
All right, we'll move
Kim,
on to...
I think you also asked for people to help stuff folders or something?
That's,
seeds, right?
I went and, well, the seeds we'll have to do, but I went to IFAS, to the extension office, and I asked Master Gardeners for 200 of them for our bags, and they're gonna stuff 200 of them for us. So be thankful for them for that. It's a great commitment. And that's those Florida-friendly folders, and then we'll have our stuff inside them. And I guess I'll be in contact when I can get the seed material for the seeds, and we'll arrange. It'll be closer to the day, so it's something we can arrange by next meeting.
And Kim, this is an idea, and it may not be a viable idea, but something maybe to look into. I don't know about the state of Florida, if their emergency management within Indian River County, if they have access to a database. Other states have statewide databases of assets that can be, in a non-emergency event, utilized in other counties. And I'm wondering if it's possible that there may be some type of water truck or that could be used.
I have checked. I checked last year everywhere. I actually emailed all over the state. It is the organizations that have them, they paid a lot of money for them, and they don't rent them out. But I mean, I've checked. I've definitely checked.
This would be through emergency management, so it's possible that another county owns a truck that would be willing to lend us.
I have followed every lead I could get on a water truck. I made it my mission to get one last year, and it could not roll out. So if you find one, I wish you luck, but I have put a lot into it, and I did not find any. I got a lot of prices on them. They're very expensive.
Is there any additional input from any board member on that? I want to thank everybody for their input on that. We'll move on from old business to member matters, item 11. And we'll start with Tom down here and work our way across. Any member matters, Mr. Tom?
I have nothing.
Nothing.
Neither.
I'm good.
I'm good today, too. So we'll go ahead and we'll move on to item 12, items for next agenda. Finalize Earth Day and Arbor Day celebration plans, which I think we just spoke about. So I think we'll move on to the next one. Edward Don representative to address the board. And then
That is the partner with Keep Brevard Beautiful with their Litter Quitter program.
Okay.
So they provide discounted items, plastic alternatives items to restaurants, and so they're going to come and address the board about options for the city and for other businesses. And Brian has been the contact point on this and arranged all of it. And we're definitely going to reach out to local businesses and invite them to come and see what values they have on the products.
Are we gonna, I mentioned to them that they were interested in helping City Hall here
Yep.
become green and more sustainable as well. So if we can have a survey done before they get here, that we can give them an idea of what we're going through as far as, you know, what type of supplies do we do and what we're paying, that sort of thing. He can do a comparison to turn us green as well, so.
Yep. I have that data, so I'll have that on hand. All right.
Any more input on that? Item 3 under 10 would be discussion for sustainable Sebastian initiatives, number 3 and 4. The Sustainable Sebastian Initiative under resolution number R 1930. Number 3 is provide recommendations for city policies and codes related to natural resources. I think we pretty much addressed that with our meetings today. I mean, what do you guys think? That was
And
pretty
through
tight.
our involvement with the IPM committee, I think we're having a large role in that as well.
Kind of a work in progress.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody have any input they want to put on that in addition to what we've already done there? Okay. And again, I want to thank the board's time and efforts in all of this, because it's relatively new for everybody. And again, I want to thank everybody. Number 4, reducing the city's operational carbon footprint by promoting sustainable energy resources through the implementation of sustainable technologies where practical.
If there's any information regarding either of those initiatives that you'd like more information on, as far as on the city side of things, just let me know, and I'll make sure everyone gets a copy of it.
Do you guys want to go through that right now?
That's for next.
Can we send that in? Okay. To let everybody know, I'm not current right now, but I am I'm an energy rater. This is what I've done since 1992. I could spend the rest of the night going over this. I'm credentialed through University of Central Florida, and I love it. And I'm mostly into conservation first, and that's how I lower all of that. So we're done with that then. Any other input from anybody on the board? Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn then?
Motion to adjourn.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Let's adjourn this meeting of the Natural Resource Board.
Thank you.